Hey crafty friends, today we are going to make this adorable felt bunny plushie. A free pattern is linked in the description below, so go ahead, click that link, print your pattern, come back here, and we are going to sew this together. This is a beginner level pattern. This is great for kids with a little bit of adult supervision or those who just want to do some basic stitches and make a fun project. So go ahead, click that pattern and come back here and let's make this together. To sew this felt bunny, you're going to need the following supplies. Felt in the color that you want your bunny to be, the bunny pattern. Again, it's in the description below. You should be able to click that link, print your pattern, and come back for free. Something to sew it together. You can use normal thread. This is embroidery floss, which is just a little bit thicker, and I like the way it comes together, but normal thread is fine too. In the colors that you want to sew, I usually try and find one that matches my felt. And this time I'm also doing a gray. I'm going to do gray eyes, and we're going to do gray whiskers. You can do different colors if you want. A needle for sewing it. Again, this is an embroidery needle, and it just has a bigger eye right here that makes it easier to sew this thread. Scissors, and then something to stuff your felt creature with. So I like to use felt scraps because it gives me a way to reuse what I have. You can also use polyfill, which is what's in normal stuffed animals, and sometimes I even use cut up plastic bags. So lots of options for what to fill it. Go ahead and print your pattern, cut it out, and come back here. I forgot to mention, you're also going to need something to trace your pattern. I like a good marker. I think permanent markers work best for me, but you can use lots of varieties. Now, when it comes to tracing your pattern, make sure that you're putting your pieces right at the edge of your felt. This saves a lot of felt for future projects, and it's just a better use than putting your piece out here and just tracing it wherever it lands. So when I'm lining them up, I try and line them as close to the edge as I can without going off the edge. And you're just going to slowly trace around your patterns. And these that have a cut too, you're going to want to trace it the first time on the side with the lines, and then you're going to want to flip it over and trace it on this side. It's just going to make the pattern line up a little bit more nicely when we're sewing it. So go ahead, get all your pieces traced. Where it says cut 2, trace it twice. Where it says cut 1, just trace it once. Now, as you're going to cut out your pattern, make sure that you're cutting the lines that you traced off of the felt. So I'm just cutting it so it's in my scraps. And then again, hang on to your scraps. They're really great for using on the inside of your plush creature. And carefully just go around and cut these all out. Once you have all your pieces cut out, you can start putting your bunny together a little bit. So when I do it, I like to look at mine and see if there's any places where I haven't done a perfect job of cutting the pattern off, and I tuck those on the inside. So I'm going to lay my two pieces over each other. I'm going to put this leg at the bottom and another leg on the other side, an arm right here and another arm on the other side, and then this long kind of one is the ears. We're going to fold those in half. Those are eventually going to be sewn in right here, and this is his fluffy bunny tail. So first we are going to sew on the eyes of our bunny. So grab your needle and grab whatever thread or embroidery floss you're doing that you want your eye color to be. And we're going to put the two ends of the thread together. And we're going to do a loop knot. So we're going to do a circle. We're going to tuck the bottom under so it's in the middle of the circle. And then I like to put my fingers over where the threads are crossed, kind of towards the bottom of the string. And then just hold it gently and grab the side where my needle's on and pull it. And that just helps me create a knot that's pretty close to these end threads. If you end up with super long threads at the end, it's probably worth trimming them down. This knot's going to work okay for me. Now we're going to find the inside piece. Again, I can still see a little bit of my lines of black here. So I'm going to use this as the inside piece, and we're going to decide where we want our eye to be. I'm going to put my eye right here. So we're going to go in one side of the fabric, pull it most of the way through, and then we're going to go back through, not in the exact same hole, but near it. Pull this most of the way through, and then I am going to cross, or I'm going to put my needle through the middle of these two threads by my knot, and then I'm going to pull it tight. Now we have the beginning of an eye. It's a really small eye. It's a little too small for me. So I'm going to just go back through it a few times. So I'm going to go back on this side, and then I'm just going to cross over that place where my first knot was. Got my needle pulled right to the end of my thread, and I'm just going to cross over the top of it. Looking a little better. I still want a little bit bigger of an eye. So I might do this maybe one or two more times. Let's see how he looks. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, so I'm going to leave this. So I did 3 crossover knots, and now I'm going to knot it in the back by sliding my needle into this bundle of knots right here. grabbing the end of it that's through the fabric, and I'm going to wrap it around the top of my needle twice. And then I'm going to put my thumb over it to hold it in place. And I'm going to slide my needle out. And then I'm going to trim my threads real close to the end. So now I've got some messy, kind of knotted threads on this side, but a cute little eye on this side. So that looks just right to me. And we're also going to do something kind of fun and sneaky with this bunny. We are going to tie another loop knot. Again, I'm crossing it, I'm holding on to the ends where they're crossed, I'm pulling it through until it's a knot, and I'm going to give this bunny some whiskers. So I'm going to say his nose is about down here. I'm going to poke my needle through the end here. I'm just going to pull this all the way down. I'm going to leave it here, and I'm going to trim off the end the length that I want these whiskers to be. And there we go. When I get all done, you can fray these threads, or you can do another batch through if you want more whiskers. And I'll give him a little nose right at the end too. I think that would be fun and cute. I might give him 2 more whiskers. I'll have a 4 on each side whisker bunny. I'm just going to go right back through where my knot was. And add a few more whiskers. Okay, so I have my clean edge on the outside and my messy stuff's on the inside. And I'm going to line this piece up with my other piece. And then I'm going to repeat those steps inversed. So now I want the messy side on this side of it and the tidy side on this side, so that when I sew it together, the nice sides are out. So repeat the steps for the eyes and the whiskers if you want on the second one. All right, so I've got the 2 sides of my bunny. They line up just like that, looking good. Now we're going to find the leg pieces, and we're going to sew on these bunny legs. So grab your legs and then grab whatever thread you have that matches your felt. So again, I'm just doing a loop knot with this, where I'm lining the 2 pieces of thread up. I'm going to pull my needle to the very bottom middle of them, turning these into a circle and bending the bottom through, just like that. And then I'm going to hold it in my fingers and pull it tight. Okay, now I'm going to start with my back leg. I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to start in the back, the messy side. I'm going to go through both pieces of felt, pull it most of the way through, but not tight against the back. And then I'm going to go back through pretty close to where I came. Again, pulling this one all the way through. I'm going to slide my needle between these 2 strings, pull it tight. And now I'm going to slide it through again this bundle, wrap it around twice on the edge of my needle to create a knot, put my thumb over the top to hold it in place, and slide my thread out. Now I'll trim these excesses off, and we have a bunny leg. Do the same thing. I'm going to attach this arm right up here the same way. Trim off the excess, and we're going to repeat those same steps with the other side of our bunny. And one last thing before we start sewing these 2 bunnies together is we are going to make this circle into our fluffy bunny tail. So this time, instead of doing a loop knot with 2 pieces, I'm going to do a loop knot with a single piece of my sewing thread. So I'm doing the circle, putting the tail under, holding where it crosses and pulling it tight. And we're going to take this circle and we're going to go around the edge, and we're going to go in one side, out the other, just back and forth, kind of right around the edge of this felt. We're just loosely going in and out. All the way around the circle until we get back to that knot at the beginning. Okay, so now at the beginning, we are going to put our string, or our needle, through just a few of the threads of this knotted area. It's going to help make it tight. And we're going to pull, and we are going to pull, pull, pull. Your fingers on the other edge, and we're just going to keep pulling until it's all the way tight. Whoop, whoop. And we have this little fluffy pom-pom style tail. See, it kind of looks like this on this side. It's all gathered up together over here. And then we are going to tie a knot. So to do this, we're going to go through one side of the felt, kind of right where our ending thread is. We're going to wrap this thread around our needle twice. And pull it all the way through. Okay, now it's time to start putting our bunny together. Lay the two pieces on top of each other. I'm going to make a single threaded loop knot. Usually I like a longer thread. I measure about from the edge of my fingertips up to my shoulders and use that to sew with. I did not do that this time, so I will run out of thread before I get all the way around the bunny, but that will be okay. I will show you how to tie off your thread and add more if that ever happens. And I like to start sewing this project between the two back legs because it's going to hide your starting stitch. So put the legs back a little bit, and we're going to go through both pieces of felt. And just through some of the threads over here where our ending knot is. I'm going to pull that tight. So this is our starting stitch right here. And then we are going to do a simplified blanket stitch. And what you want for this is the two edges of your felt to stay really close together. If the middle of it moves around, it doesn't matter so much because we're going to put fluffy stuff in it. You're going to go through both edges of felt and then put the tail of the string over the top of your needle. So it makes this nice kind of liney pattern around it. Through both pieces of felt. Through both pieces of felt. Whoop. I'm pausing right here at this end of tail line, and I'm picking up our tiny tail, and I'm putting this kind of like flower burst end right against his buns. I'm going to poke my needle through this tail, pull it all the way out. Whoop. I'm going to pull it tight against the bunny. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to poke it through, down just a little bit. So I've got it anchored in two places. If your needle's feeling really stuck, sometimes I push it against the ground, push the needle. Pull that tight against our bunny's bum. Cute little cotton towel. And then we're just going to keep going with our blanket stitch. So we're going to go through both pieces of felt. Wrap this tail, the string around it, and pull it through. Up a little bit, through both pieces, and pull it through. We're going to keep going with this blanket stitch all the way until we get to the top of the bunny's head, and we're going to pause right there to add its ears. Okay, so right here at the top, we're going to pause, and we're going to take this last piece of felt, and we're going to bend it in half. And if you want your bunny's ears going forward, you can do it that way. And if you want your bunny's ears backwards, you can do it this way. I think I'm going to have mine going back. We're just going to stick this bent piece between these two pieces of felt. And then instead of doing a blanket stitch, we're going to do what's called a running stitch, which I think is even easier. You're just going to go in, make sure you're going all the way through this side of the felt and that side of the felt and the two ears. You're going to go in one side and out the other, just back and forth, moving down just a little bit to sew these ears in place. And once you get through the ears, we're going to go back to a blanket stitch where you go through both pieces and you wrap the edge of your string over. And we're going to keep doing that blanket stitch all the way around the face, and we're going to pause by these, it's like probably under the neck, so that we have space to put our stuffing inside and make our bunny fluffy. I have to tie off my string here. Tie off my string. A lot of times I'll go in and try and get just a tiny bit of the fabric so that it's not sticking through. Wrap my string around it twice so it's got an anchor. Pull it down and out. Trim this off. Okay, and then I'm going to go back up into the hole of the last blanket stitch I did. And then I'm going to put these gray threads, I'm just going to push them in as I go, and I can keep going with my blanket stitch. As you're coming around the nose, just make sure that any of these gray threads that are not our whiskers that are sticking out, we just want to push it back into the middle of the bunny. You want to be careful that you're not catching those whiskers on your thread as you're going around them. So just go slow and careful. Make sure you're pushing threads out of the way as you go. Go all the way around the edge of the bunny's nose. I'm going to pause right here. See how cute your bunny's coming together. And we are going to go ahead and we are going to fill him with whatever kind of filler you want for the inside. So this is a great time to use any of those little bits of felt for those scrap felts that you might have had. I'm going to cut off these tiny edges of mine, but I didn't have a ton of scrap felt, so I am actually going to add some cotton balls into mine. I'm going to fluff these out and add some cotton balls into my Peter cotton towel. Now when you're stuffing it, you want to stuff the things that are furthest away first. So I'm going to start by putting some fluff in his nose, kind of back here by his tail, and work my way towards the middle. And if you can't reach it with your finger, a lot of times I'll use the tip of a pencil or maybe my scissors to help me push the fluffy stuff in a little further. This rabbit is not too hard for me to reach, so hopefully you'll have an easy time too. I've got all of my scrap felt already used, and I still need some. I'm gonna fluff him with a cotton ball. And when you have it filled to a good amount for you, we're gonna go and we're just gonna continue with that blanket stitch. We're gonna pull it tight if it's loosened up at all right here. We're going to continue with that blanket stitch all the way back until where we started. It is going to be a little more tricky to sew now that he's full of fluffy stuff, so just go slow. Try not to pull whatever fluff you've used into your needle. And pull it tight as you go. You might need to push it in more with your finger for each little spot you're going, just trying to get the two edges of the felt. Wrap your thread around it and pull it tight. Moving his hands out of the way now, pulling them back. If your needle is getting caught a lot, it might be that your thread is too wound against each other. If you just take a second and carefully separate the strands, it might be easier. Okay, and then this last stitch, we're going right back through where we started. But instead of just wrapping it once around the needle this time, we're going to wrap it twice. Going to hold it in place and we're going to pull it real tight. And then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to push it into my stuffed animal and out somewhere up here. I'm pushing it into my stuffed animal's body, pulling the needle out the back, pulling the thread all the way through. And I'm going to pull it tight as I snip it. And as I wiggle my plush, that thread will go back in a little. And there we have it, our cute little bunny plush. If you like this or you're interested in more easy sew along projects, be sure to like and follow along, and I'll be back next week with a brand new pattern ready to be sewn together. If you want to take this even one step further, you can add a nose to your bunny. For me, I'm going to grab some of this pink thread, and I just think he would look cute with a little nose right on the tip of his snout. I'm going to double it and tie my knot. But because it's in front, I want this knot to be really small. So I'm going to trim the excess. Be really careful not to cut off my knot. Not careful enough. Retie. All right, then I'm going to go start here right at the edge. I'm gonna go through it. Move these whiskers out of the way. Put it through this split part. Get tight. All right, I'm gonna put his fluffy bits down. I'm gonna go back through it this way. Careful not to get the whiskers, pulling it all the way in. Whew, free in the whiskers. And then over and in on the same side. Trying not to get the whiskers, trying to pull it tight. And one last little over and around. And then like I did when I finished sewing before, I'm just gonna poke this needle in through my bunny. Pick it up here above and pull it tight. Trim it. So I got that dot there. I'm just gonna wiggle it inside. And there. Now my bunny has a little orange nose.